Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's Best Ball Show. I'm your host, Matt Holzel. I'm going to be taking you guys through a live big board draft here on Underdog in just a few minutes. Want to thank you guys for being here. Give me just 1 minute to send out the links and we will get this show on the road. Just one moment. Want to get things set up on YouTube and Twitter. Alrighty. Just 1 second here to do a quote tweet, and we will be on our way. All right. I think we're ready to go here. Just want to say that today's episode is sponsored by Fantasy Fitness. Are you guys ready to dominate your fantasy football leagues? If so, please check out fantasyfitness.io. Fantasy Fitness is a website that's going to help you guys perform better in your fantasy football leagues. It's particularly helpful in dynasty formats. Once you sign up, and you can sign up for free, you'll get access to all the latest headlines, 50 of the latest articles from the 5 major fantasy sites: ESPN, Yahoo Sports, CBS Sports, NBC Sports, and the Fantasy Footballers. You'll also be able to integrate your fantasy rosters if you play on FFPC, Sleeper, or Yahoo. From there, you'll be able to take a deep dive into your rosters as well as your league mates' rosters to help you better strategize about how to get an edge in your leagues. This includes an individual roster breakdown of all your players, contract information, roster metrics, roster notes, AI insights, and more. You can also take a look at your individual league standings and league rosters, so you'll be able to see at a bird's eye view exactly kind of the makeup of your league, what draft picks are available, what their player and position group breakdown looks like, and then you'll be able to initiate trades using the AI Trade Insights tool, where they can analyze trades, trade away specific players, trade for specific players, surprise me, or ask the AI agent questions about your team and specific strategies, player values, or specific scenarios that you want to talk through. That's all available on Fantasy Fitness, along with player breakdowns of all the players, or I should say most of the players in the league. Every player gets a player profile page where you get the metadata about the player, contract and social information. You'll get the 3 algorithms that we're working on here at Fantasy Fitness: the Fantasy Fitness team score, the Fantasy Fitness talent score, and then the overall Fantasy Fitness score of the player. Recent year in career production, athletic profile, team environment, tape, and then positional competition, as well as coaching write-ups. And then likewise, you'll get the team breakdown as well, team rank in both passing and rushing score, and then overall offensive team score, team metrics that help you assess how that team performs relative to league average across many different metrics, both production and efficiency, and then quick access to all those players, as well as a heat map that gives you just a general idea of whether they're scoring out positively, which would be green, or negatively, which would be like a dark orange or a red, at their respective scores within their respective position groups. So definitely something worth checking out. Most of these features are free. Some of them are behind a paywall, where you can do a $4, $8, or $12 subscription per month. But if you're ready to dominate your fantasy football leagues, check out fantasyfitness.io. Now that we got that out of the way, let's get down to brass tacks and why we are here. We are here for the big board. and that is the Underdog 2026 pre-draft best ball main event. This is a large field tournament, 223,000 entrants. Each player gets a 150 max entries, $10 per entry. The advance rate structure is as follows: 3 out of 12 in the first pod, 1 out of 10 in your second pod, and first out of 10 in your third pod. And you'd make it to the 558 seed final for a chance at $200,000 for first, $100,000 for second, $65,000 for a third, and so on and so forth. We're going to go ahead and rip one of these drafts today and hopefully come out of here with a banger. Appreciate you guys being here. Let's commit our $10 to the process, and we will hopefully start this draft here in just a few minutes. We are waiting for 5 people, so it shouldn't take too long. While we wait, I'll go ahead and filibuster here and talk a little bit about what I'm seeing on the draft board, particularly here maybe in the first couple rounds. Players I like, players I'm avoiding at their ADP right now, and then kind of go from there. So in terms of the first round, I think things are fairly well priced. Obviously, all these players are very good, and it's hard to kind of say one should be above the other because we're sort of nitpicking here. But I do think if we are going to nitpick, there's definitely a case for Ja'Marr Chase to be number 3 over Puka. I think that's an easy argument to make. I think that we can make a case for Amon-Ra St. Brown ahead of CeeDee Lamb, given kind of the situation amongst both those teams and the volume that St. Brown consistently earns on a year-over-year basis, along with George Pickens being a likely number 2 for a second year down there in Dallas. Although he is a free agent right now, he was franchise tagged and will likely play this year for the Cowboys. Otherwise, at the back of this first round, I've got Achane a few ticks lower here. I just don't like the situation down there in Miami. I know Vegas has its issues as well, but they seem to be ascending, whereas I'm not sure if we can say the same thing about Miami and what's going on there with ownership, the team, structural changes with the offense, uncertainty about the quarterback, new coaching staff. I'm much happier taking James Cook, Ashton Jeanty, Justin Jefferson, Omarion Hampton, Jeremiah Love over Achane. So he's more down in this range for me. But let me know if you guys see it differently. I'm always willing to change my mind when I hear good arguments. Furthermore, I think Trey McBride and Brock Bowers should be closer. I'm not, you may even be able to make a case for Bowers ahead of McBride, given what I think, the positivity around what Vegas is doing, the new coaching staff, the new ownership group that includes Tom Brady, things like that. I think they're on the ascension, Vegas that is. So give me Bowers, ahead of McBride this year. And yeah, that's generally my thoughts here on the first 2 rounds. Nothing else too crazy here. We're 1 pick away or 1 person away from this draft kicking off. I will say something that I've been spending a lot of thought on recently after having some conversations with some other of my best ball bros is just the idea of structure and how you build, around or with structure, but making sure it's not like a central component in your decision making. I think in the past, I've been maybe too rigid with sticking with structure or staying with structure, following rules maybe too what's it, too aggressively maybe is the word. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but being overly disciplined in structure. So that's something I've backed off on, and it's led to, I think, some better builds. So I use structure now really more as like a boundary condition when certain position groups are starting to sort of reach the outer bounds of what they should be. But I try not to think about structure too early in the draft, where I take an inferior player because I need a player at a given position when there's obviously much better value on the board. So that's something I've been much more conscientious about in a lot of my more recent drafts. Obviously, I'm always looking at good texture, good athletic profiles of these players for spike week upside, and their roles in their offense, how secure are those roles, wide receivers, who are they tethered to at the quarterback position, what's the pass volume in those respective environments, things of that nature. So yeah, definitely always thinking about texture and structure and player athletic profile. And those are tenets that drive a lot of my draft decisions. We are drafting from the 11 hole here, so towards the back of the board. Not too much, we don't get back-to-back picks, but this should help us by seeing what that last guy has and making some decisions around who to take, given what he's got at a given position group. GTEP 1017's in here. Shout out GTEP. Follow him on X, and I like his drafts, so that's cool. So Jeremiah Love goes the big. There's a lot of interesting things going on in this room. Hopefully it doesn't get blown up. St. Brown at 11. I don't get that ever, or very often, I should say. So that's an easy click for me. A few picks past ADP there. We've got Genty falling back to us at 14. Gonna go ahead and go with that combo. Don't know if I've been able to get that combo, so that's an easy combo to click. I definitely want to get, unique combos here in the first 2 rounds without doing anything, overly crazy, I guess. I'm trying to think of the right word, but trying to be too flashy, get too cute. Okay. Not sure what Ging Fo is doing. He's obviously played a lot. He's got a badge. He's doing some weird reaching and stuff. I don't know why, but whatever. It is what it is. Outside of that, I don't see, too much, anything too crazy here going on the board. Appreciate you guys being here. Again, we're doing a big board draft, $10 buy-in, $200,000 the first. If you're here for best ball, then you're in the right place. My name is Matt Holzel. I'm your host today. This episode is sponsored by Fantasy Fitness. www.fantasyfitness.io. Check it out. All right. So at the 2-3 turn, we definitely got a fall here with Bowers. He gets stacked up with Gibbs and Brown. That's not something you're going to see a lot. So the guy here in the 2 hole has a pretty unique combo and is off to a good start. The 1 hole, Robinson, Pickens, Collins, seen that a couple times. Ging Fo is just being weird and almost obnoxious to some extent, but whatever, he's going to do what he's going to do. Hopefully it doesn't lead to this draft getting thrown out, but it is what it is at this point. 2 picks away. Because Ging Fo is doing what he's doing, it's obviously leaving some players on the board that aren't typically falling in this range. Getting Tet here later than usual. 5 picks past ADP. I'm going to go ahead and take Josh Allen. Don't normally click him, but 8 picks past ADP. If this draft holds up and it doesn't get canceled because of what Ging Fo is doing, then this will be a pretty cool build. All right, so kind of looking like a hero build here. Definitely like the value of the wide receivers in the middle rounds. That being said, if in the 5th round I'm able to get one of these, there's a falling TreVeyon Henderson or RJ Harvey, maybe I take one of those guys. Otherwise, it's wide receiver territory in here. Typically for me, I'm trying to stream most of these drafts for a few reasons. One, I want to build an audience and share my opinions, hear other people's opinions about how they construct their best ball teams. Furthermore, I want to put these drafts on the record. That way, if in the future I'm able to win one of these tournaments and it happens to be one that I recorded, then I'll always have that video recording for the record, be able to go back and analyze the thought process that was presented to me at the time that I made each pick and went through the draft and kind of how the team got constructed, what the thought process was there to construct the team. So I think recording it is fun for those reasons, and that's partially why I'm doing this. I also want to bring on guests. I will be bringing on guests. I've mentioned this a few times now on previous streams, working with a couple other best ball bros, and they I'll hopefully get some of those podcasts scheduled here in the next couple weeks and throughout the rest of the summer. 3 picks away. I like the wide receivers in this area, like really most of them. I will say I'm not drafting Cam Scatterbo in this range. That's just way too expensive for me on that offense. Coming back from injury, I just can't get on board with that. I can get on board with RJ Harvey. I think he had a good rookie campaign. I know Denver's going to make a splash in free agency, but I like his price here. I'm also going to go ahead and take Jordan Tyson. Want to get that rookie upside. I think his price is fair. Did pretty well at the combine, maybe not great. His production metrics and advanced metrics are pretty elite. So that being said, I'll go ahead and take him here as my 3rd. Let's go ahead and recap this team. We got Josh Allen captaining the ship here at quarterback. At running back, we have some divisional correlation with Ashton Jeanty at pick 14 and RJ Harvey at pick 59. And then at the wide receiver room, we have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Tet McMillan, wide receiver 1 out of Carolina, and then Jordan Tyson, the rookie out of Arizona State. Take a quick look at the board here. See what the board's showing. I guess Gingfo is coming back to earth at this point. After we took Tyson, though, Judkins goes off the board, followed by DK Metcalf, Rome Odunze, Ramondre Stevenson, Tootin at 67, Swift at 68, and Warren at 69. So a little run there. On running backs, Pearsall at 70, Jalen Hurts here at 71. I think T-Long X012 is putting together a really good draft here. He's got Gibbs, Brown, Henderson, Bowers, CJ Brown, Devontae Smith, excuse me. I don't know why I said CJ Brown. That was weird. And Jalen Hurts, and then picks up Sutton here at pick 74, and that's a faller on Sutton. So I like that team probably the most so far in this draft. Robust RB. Where is he? Gets a good quarterback, rushing upside. Robust RB. Yeah, he's in really good shape. All right. So we are now 5 picks away from our 83rd pick. In this range, like these wide receivers, probably more than quarterback is fine, but nothing that, is that I have to have. Interesting. Yeah, he's still being super weird and dumb. Okay, well, I'll go. I'm gonna go Tucker Kraft. Let's go Tucker Kraft. Get some divisional correlation there with Detroit. It's an ACL tear. It happened pretty early in the year. I think he will obviously come back pretty strong by week 17. He's got the upside. He had multiple 20-point and I think even a 30-plus point week last year in fantasy. So he's got the spike week upside we look for. I'm going to go ahead and select Tyler Algier here. He's not coming back to me in 20 picks. He's not going to be there at pick 106. If anything, his price is rising. He should land in a pretty good spot in free agency. He's got the size to consolidate touches. He's involved in the passing game. I think he's probably a little underpriced here, and I like him as our number 3. Like Hubbard as well, but I think Algier's a little bit more involved in the passing game. And I've always just thought he's been a really good running back. He had the unfortunate situation of having to play behind Bijan Robinson, largely because of the incompetence of the old general manager in Atlanta, who, after Algier put up a 1,000-yard season and showed promise as a rookie, decided it was necessary to draft a running back in the first 8 picks or something like that. And don't get me wrong, I love Bijan Robinson. I think we all do, but that's not how you build an NFL football team, in my opinion. and he wasted a lot of resources by getting that second pick. And then unfortunately that left Tyler Algier kind of sitting around as a backup. But we'll get to see his talent level this year when he gets what should be a pretty sizable contract and likely a lead role in a backfield. Rumors are swirling he may go to Seattle, Denver are some of the names I've heard. So we'll just have to see how that goes. In this range, I think Jared Goff would be a nice piece. That would get me a stack going with St. Brown. Otherwise, I like Jordan Addison, DJ Moore in this range. I think Godwin's a little underpriced. Oops. And then Jordan Love here would also make sense on this team. So those are some of the names I'm going to pick out and kind of just see what happens. Okay, Goff goes. This guy's got two quarterbacks, short on wide receiver. So this is where I'm going to go ahead and take the wide receiver first, Jordan Addison, and then see if he takes a third quarterback. If not, then we can get Love on the way back here. He goes Godwin. That gives us Love. So just kind of playing the board there, something we should always be doing, especially when we're a little bit closer to the edge. If we're in that 10 or 11 hole, and kind of size up the guys to the right of us and use that to our advantage to get the player you really want. So here we go. Let's recap the team. Again, appreciate you guys being here. Big board draft, number 59, I believe. So far in this draft, we've got two studs at quarterback, Josh Allen and Jordan Love. Jordan Love is stacked up with Tucker Kraft. At running back, we have Ashton Jeanty, RJ Harvey, and Tyler Algier. Wide receiver, St. Brown, Tet, Jordan Tyson, and Jordan Addison. I like this room. I like this team for the most part. Obviously, we need to make up some ground here with Kraft, given that he's probably not going to start the season. And he'll likely be on the pup or something like that. So we'll want to definitely be keeping our eye on a good tight end that makes sense to add to this room. So, be particularly concerned about good texture and making sure that they're going to, chaperone Kraft along for however long it's going to take until he gets his sea legs back. I like Shakir here, but I've had him fall a few times to like the late 120s or early 130s. Definitely scoop him up there, especially with an Allen share at quarterback. I don't think he'll be there. So some of the other guys I like and will be targeting in this range would be Matthew Golden, and that would make sense for this build. Jaden Higgins. I would also, doesn't sound like Dobbins is necessarily coming back to Denver, so I don't think I would necessarily take him if he was, but I like him in this range. Golden goes, that would have been a nice pick here. Let's see. All right, the pick for me is Jaden Higgins. I like that play a lot. That gets me my fifth. He was really came on towards the end of last season as a rookie out of Iowa State, second rounder. He's kind of part of the Twin Towers down there with Nico Collins. Big bodied guy. Here, I think we're just looking at CJ Stroud or Bryce Young. Either one's going to create the stack for me. I'm getting a lot of CJ Stroud, so they're close. I'll go ahead and grab Bryce Young this time. And that gets us our third quarterback. We're definitely done at quarterback. Probably could have stopped at 2, but I just think with what else was on the board here, I'm just going to go ahead and grab a quarterback there. So let's recap the team. Josh Allen, Jordan Love, Bryce Young, Ashton Jeanty, RJ Harvey, Tyler Algier at running back, wide receiver, St. Brown, Tet McMillan, Jordan Tyson, Jordan Addison, and Jaden Higgins. And then at tight end, Tucker Kraft. I did like Jawan, but sometimes he falls back. Mark Andrews, and then there's a whole slew of guys way back here. So kind of knowing what's left on the board at tight end, I didn't want to reach. I felt like the quarterback there and the stack made more sense than necessarily saying, oh, structure. Juwan Johnson, reach. There's plenty of other picks and a lot of value, I think, later on down the board. And so with that being said, knowing kind of where those value pockets are, I think the team is better with Bryce Young, albeit we're probably a little out of structure at this point in the draft. 10 picks away, currently sitting on a 3-3-5-1 build, and we need running backs and tight ends, and we're in the perfect place for that. The Mike Washington Jr. hype is real. He's now going in the 130s and 140s in some of the drafts that I've been in recently. So major CLV if you were drafting him early in the big board, because he was going at like pick 220, 230, and now he's going about 100 picks. Maybe not 100 picks, but like 80 to 90 picks higher. All right, we are approaching our pick. We're 5 picks away. Dobbins is falling, probably because the Broncos said they were going to make a splash in free agency at the running back position. He finally goes at pick 151. Ayuk, Tyreek Hill, I'm not touching them. I have no reason to draft them. There's better players around them. The risk reward for those players, to me, at this point in the summer or spring, makes absolutely no sense. So I just don't click those guys at all. I do like a little bit of Alvin Kamara. Yeah, let's go Alvin Kamara here. And then I think Mark Andrew is the perfect texture for this room, an established veteran on an offense where he's supplanted himself. He is going to play if he's healthy. He's got the connection with Lamar Jackson. 7 picks past ADP. I think he's the perfect chaperone in this room for somebody like a Tucker Kraft. I'll go for a high upside guy later, but I think that's exactly what the doctor ordered, was Mark Andrews in this particular room. And then, we'll have Kraft for the middle to latter part of the season. Recapping the team here in just a second. 14 picks away from our next pick. So with that being said, we have Josh Allen, Jordan Love, and Bryce Young at quarterback, Ashton Jeanty, RJ Harvey, Tyler Algier, and Alvin Kamara. At running back, St. Brown, Tet McMillan, Jordan Tyson, Jordan Addison, and Jaden Higgins. At wide receiver, and then Tucker Kraft and Mark Andrews at tight end. Solid team so far. Divisional correlation between Detroit, Green Bay, and Minnesota. Additionally, we have some divisional correlation between Carolina and New Orleans, and then Denver and Las Vegas. So I think we're doing a good job there, getting some divisional correlation, and it's not forced; it's just sort of fallen that way. But with everything, without the schedules and kind of everything we know about how schedules have been put together in the past, we get those divisional matchups week 17. So this is a way to try to build into that pre-draft when we don't have access to those schedules. Again, thanks for being here. If you guys like the content, be sure to subscribe at FantasyFitIO on X, and that will give you guys alerts when I'll be out here streaming. That's generally once a day or once every a couple days. I'm out here doing these streams. Okay, he gave us Njoku. I'm definitely going to take that. I like some of the other plays here at wide receiver, and there's tons of options. So go ahead and get the guy you want at tight end. That's David Njoku for me. And we have wide receivers and we have running backs. Brian Robinson was probably the target there at running back. With him being gone, I'm going to go ahead and grab Trey Tucker, get ourselves our 6th wide receiver. And at this point, we're going to tack on 2 or 3 more late running backs and 1 or 2 more wide receivers, and that should do it. Looking over this team, I think we probably could have stuck with just Allen and Love, but I didn't like the value on the board outside of Bryce. So, I don't hate the team, but there are probably some areas where, we may be a little shortchanged at the running back position. We'll just have to see. Hopefully, we get a good player or 2 in that range. It's a little bit tougher when you're out on the edges. Sometimes you just do have to reach for players. So maybe we could have done a little bit better job of that, knowing our position on the board. That being said, I still think we're in pretty good shape. We are 8 picks away. I would like Ray Davis, a Najee, Rashard Smith in this particular case makes sense. Don't need a quarterback in this range. It's really all about running backs. And I think this is a good spot to take some stabs on a few guys. Hawkinson at pick 200 is obviously a really nice pick. All right. We're definitely going to take Ray Davis. That makes sense with our share of Josh Allen. He's involved in the passing game. Anything happens to James Cook, he's an immediate plug-and-play type player, can consolidate touches. And then I'm going to go with Najee. He's also got the size to consolidate. That's a grown man right there that's going to be on an NFL roster. I think we can feel pretty confident about that. So now we're up to a 3-6-6-3. We're looking at 1 more running back and 1 more wide receiver, or 2 more wide receivers. It really just kind of depends on what the board's going to give us. Down here, if we are looking at running back, Devin Neal, Jordan James, and my boy George Holani, like that. At the wide receiver position, we're looking at Vele with this build, Jalen Knoll, Tez Johnson. Yeah, those would be the main. Maybe even a Wicks. I don't know. We'll see. Malachi Fields. 12 picks away. This is where we just kind of wait and see what the board gives us. There's no real, ADP doesn't exist anymore. I don't even look at these numbers really. It's kind of just like, what guys do you like? How can you get some late stacks going, things of that nature. 10 picks away. Let's recap the team real quick. Josh Allen, Jordan Love, Bryce Young, Ashton Jeanty, RJ Harvey, Tyler Algier, Alvin Kamara, Ray Davis, and Najee Harris. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Tet McMillan, Jordan Tyson, Jordan Addison, Jaden Higgins, Trey Tucker, and then Tucker Kraft, Mark Andrews, and David Njoku at tight end. Pretty solid across the board. Definitely want one more big play wide receiver and maybe a running back or 2 wide receivers. Yeah, I'm keeping my options open here. Okay. I do like Rashard Smith. I'm going to go ahead and take him. He fits the divisional correlation, Kansas City, Denver, Las Vegas. He's involved in the passing game. He may take on that Jerick McKinnon type of role. And then here it's either Knoll or Fields. I like Knoll. Got some of that divisional correlation too with Houston. Got the 2 pieces in that Houston offense. And I guess we don't have anybody else in the South, but thought we did. Never mind. All right. Nonetheless, let's recap this team. We ended up with a 3-7-7-3. Josh Allen, Jordan Love, Bryce Young. Josh Allen is stacked up with Ray Davis. Jordan Love is stacked up with Tucker Kraft, and Bryce Young is stacked up with Tet McMillan. So 3 single stacks with the quarterbacks. The running back room is as follows: Jeanty, Harvey, Algier, Kamara, Ray Davis, Najee Harris, and Rashard Smith. The wide receiver room is Amon-Ra St. Brown, Tet McMillan, Jordan Tyson, Jordan Addison, Jaden Higgins, Trey Tucker, and Jalen Knoll. And the tight end room is Tucker Kraft, Mark Andrews, and David Njoku. I like this team. I would give it a solid B. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. It's a good one to add to the portfolio. Well structured, well balanced, good football players across the board. And yeah, feel pretty good about it. Appreciate you guys being here. Thanks again for coming in and listening to me ramble for 45 minutes. If you guys like the content, be sure to check out, be sure to follow me on Twitter at FantasyFitIO. Go ahead and give me a follow and you'll be notified when I do all my other streams. Likewise, if you're out there in the YouTube space, I'm at FantasyFitnessIO. So go ahead and check those out. And then also be sure to check out our sponsor, Fantasy Fitness, at www.fantasyfitness.io. Thanks again for being here. You guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.